Michelle. So while we're waiting for people to tune in, say hello to everybody. Dawn's been out here working. We're getting that pool clean today. So thank God, because, well, probably it won't be today. We got to fill it up till it goes all the way up to the skimmer there. And then we're going to shock it, scrub it, chemical it, winterize it, cover it, and have it ready to go. But here is the backyard right now. It rained again, so none of the machines can move back here. They don't want to accidentally slide and like mess anything up around the pool. So they've got the fence going back in, so that's pretty cool. We got all those rocks over there that are going to be going around the front of the pool here to create a really cool rock staircase. But yeah, things are going good. So if you're tuning in, make sure you jumped over to the live chat feature there and join the chat. That way I can see your comments, and make sure that you share this. But what we're getting ready to do is I'm going to show you guys how, which is the lighting here is always so stinky. Let me try here. Enable flash. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to get this faux tarnished look, and you can see how sparkly this is. I don't know, maybe you can. I don't know, it's really hard to catch on camera, but I've got this look going on my cabinet right now. That's a little dusty right there, but as you can see, it looks like steel that has been tarnished, and it comes all the way around and all the way over, and the island is just looking super duper beautiful. It's really hard to get good lighting because it's underneath that countertop, but you guys can see that it is super rustic looking. It looks like a big piece of actual steel that has been rusted, oxided, and clear coated. And I'm going to show you guys how I did that on this drawer here, which is the one that goes for my trash can. I've already gotten started on these ones over here, and let's get to work on it, huh? What do you say? Okay, let me put this on here real quick so you guys can see what I'm doing. Then I'm also gonna plug my power in so that I don't lose you right in the middle of it all. And there we go. All right, guys, so here we go. Looks like I'm a little bit crooked. There we go. All right, so here's what we did as our first step. Our first step, we just simply mixed. This is Athena. It's the metallic prototype for unicorn spit. It is a metallic and it's copper. So same everything as unicorn spit, other than it has a metallic sheen. It's concentrated, you dilute it. You can mix it with all the same stuff you can regular unicorn spit. The only difference is that it's metallic. I invented it too. Then unicorn spit, of course, which was my first, excuse me, I got the hiccups, my first invention. And what I did, I mixed 3 parts Midnight Blackness with 1 part Athena. Then I took it, put it in a sprayer. First I sprayed the whole thing with Midnight Blackness that was divided with 2 parts, 3 parts water. Let that soak in. It dries in about 5 minutes in the sun. Then I went over, I think I may have done that twice, and then I did 1 coat of these 2 mixed together, diluted with about 3 or 4 parts water to get this beautiful metallic sheen. This is what it looks like before. So you can see, it kind of looks washed out. This lighting here, I don't know, I'm gonna get used to it. But it's very sparkly, it's very brown. And then I've got 2 coats, a top coat on this. It's an oil-based top coat. And I used Sherwin-Williams pre-cat. There's a pre-sealer that you can put on, and that's what's on there now. So that means that everything that's on here currently is locked. It is locked and ready to go. But I also noticed that my hose, my spray hose, no matter how hard I tried to clean it, I still had a little bit of white paint that came loose in the lacquer and actually went on here. I have little splatters here and there on this piece, and That's okay because it's turning into a happy accident. That's just gonna be where I'm gonna put some random tarnishment to conceal that. And what I'm doing now is just, this is ultra fine sanding block, ultra fine, nothing real strong, just something to, you know, knock off, open up the pores, just a little bit of that clear coat that's currently on there. All right, and I'm not pressing down hard. I don't want to take the whole finish off. I'm just scuffing the surface just a little bit. Just as you would whenever you sand between coats of like polyurethane or anything like that, lacquer. This would be the same way. And it's a good way for you to get some additional dimension in there. Let me grab a little paper towel real quick. All right, got my paper towel. And I got my spray bottle of water because I don't want this powdery residue to remain on here. So I'm just gonna mist it with a little bit of water. I like to use the Febreze bottles and recycle them because they give you a really nice fine mist. We're just gonna clean this up a little bit. That'll remove all that powdery substance from our light sanding that we just did, and it's also gonna pick up that water. It doesn't have to be completely dry before you start either, so. This is just to give it like a little, a damp dusting. All right, now the fun begins. So I'm gonna start with Midnight Blackness. Now again, this has already been coated with one spray down coat of Midnight Blackness, and that was diluted with about 4 or 5 parts water. And then I did 1 coat of 2 parts Midnight Blackness with 1 part Athena, diluted with 4 parts water, and then sprayed down. Allowed it to dry for an hour or so, just until it was all foggy looking. And then we hit it with some clear coat. This has had pre-coat on it and 1 coat of catalyzed. Now I'm coming in with, this is before the final coats. I'll probably do 2 more because my kids are really rough on our house. But I'm gonna go in with some Midnight Blackness, and this is just straight. I'm not gonna dilute it. And I'm gonna be using my stencil brush, and then I brought some other brushes because I never know what I'm gonna do. So you guys can just follow along with me. And let's get this tarnishy look going. I'm gonna try to aim you guys down a little bit more so the focus is more on the actual project and less on my really cool shirt. But here we go, are you ready? And then I'm also gonna be able to answer any of your questions. So if you have any questions, please post them. All right, here we go. I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm gonna start by just doing a bead of Midnight Blackness. Not a real thick bead. I'm gonna start with a small amount because I can always add more. I'm gonna take that around the entire outside. Oop, got a little bit much there. Just around the rim here, very, very tiny amount. You can see that it's almost like a hairline amount. The faster you drag it with the less amount of pressure, you can really gauge the amount of spit that comes out of the tip of the unicorn spit. I love that because that's just like a free tool that you get. And I'm gonna do the same just around the inside set of this. And you can see it's just such a tiny amount, all right? My brush, I'm just going to give it a quick mist of water just so that it doesn't dry out so fast, because as you know, unicorn spit dries really quick. But with a little bit of water, it reactivates it and you can move it around. All right, let's get started. We just take our this is a stencil brush. You can get these at michellenickols.com. Got a whole slew of them. So here we go. All I'm doing is pretty much just putting my brush half on and half on the top, half on the bottom, and I'm doing this little scrubbing motion, just going around in a little circle. And that's gonna give me an even amount. I'm getting that corner real good. Get in there, okay. Get it half and half again. I think it's better if I go on an angle, okay. And that's gonna give us a nice, even, spaced kind of amount so that you get the same bar, I guess you'd say, the same amount, line thickness of the color on both sides of your project. I'm gonna go around it twice just to make sure it's nice and even. And it's okay if you go out a little bit. Remember, corrosion, oxidization doesn't really grow in a pattern, it grows naturally. So you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be absolutely symmetrical. I want you to get that idea completely out of your mind because it limits you and it'll also make you feel self-conscious, and natural oxidation just doesn't work that way. So you don't need to be part of that theory or hold yourself accountable for making it. So we're just gonna come around these corners. Now I'm doing the sides of the piece as well, like the little lip here, because I want, whenever it's sitting on the cabinets, you do see that outer lip. So you can see I'm gonna just take my brush half and half. I'm gonna just get that lower done and that upper. I'm just gonna blend that around. Now over here, I went a little thick. I got a little bit too much on my brush. I knew that I squirted too much out. I'm just gonna squeeze that out on my little thingy here and get that going. All right. Come around this side now. Get my little bottles over. Go, come all the way around this little edge here. And you're also going to want to make sure that you know what side is going to be the top and the bottom of it, because you're going to probably want to give a little extra attention to the top than you would the bottom, because no one's ever going to look underneath your cabinets and look up to the edges. Now I'm just going to blot my brush off. I've got this amount here. This is like antiquing basically, but over a metallic finish, which gives it like a, what do you call it? Oxidization, like a cauldron, like a burnt cauldron, distressed copper kind of feel. Still confused on what we're doing. Did you decide to make the doors? No, this is the island. So I did the doors blue and copper. I'm doing the island black and copper, except I'm making it look like rusticy, oxidized, rusty panels of steel. So neat. Okay, and these are the drawers that go with it. All right, so this is dried off. And so this is a base coat again of these two mixed in a sprayer, sprayed on. One coat of this, sprayed on, coated this, mixed, sprayed on, sealed. Did a light sanding. Now I'm letting this dry a little bit. As you can see, I want the blackest parts to be out towards those edges. Then I'm gonna just take my brush and scrub. As you can see, I have my bristles pointed inward. Just gonna scrub that out. We're doing just little tiny, I'm not going all the way to the edge. I'm letting that blackness stay in those crevices to really enhance that look. And can you see the angle that I have my brush? It's kind of like slanted forward and it's scrubbing like this because I don't want it, it's going to kind of, I don't know, it's not gradient. What's the word I'm looking for? Where it's like ombres out that way very easily. It just takes all the work out for you. All you have to do is small little rubs, and intermittently you're going to want to squeeze your brush off and get any excess. Because what we're doing now, we're blending the black in towards the copper. Again, I'm laying it on the corner, pushing forward, and just grabbing the very edges of where I can see it's wet and doing these little tiny scrubs with my brush and a little circle pattern. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. I think I wanna do a little bit more over here. So I'm just gonna take whatever's left over on my brush and do that. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. Then again, I'm gonna take the same damn cloth that I wiped everything down with, squeeze out my brush again, get some more of that midnight blackness off my brush, because now I'm gonna come into these more delicate areas. Oh, look, there's a hair. All right, and I'm just going to, again, take my brush just to that very, very edge of it and just scrub around in these little tiny circles, just to blend and fade that harsh line that we had in the beginning. Just to press down with your brush, scrub forward and to the right with a little bit of a scrubby. All right, let's squeeze some more out of our brush. Every line that I do, I'm gonna squeeze some out of my brush because I don't wanna apply anymore. I just want to keep using what I have, and the moisture that's on my brush will reactivate any areas that were dry. That's kind of fun too, because then you don't have to worry about like, oh, I could stop right now if I wanted to and go pick up the kids from school or go tend to the animals, whatever I need to do, come back, wet my brush with a little water, and I can start this process over again. It's nice that unicorn spit isn't permanent until you add your oil-based top coat. Okay, there was a lot there, so I'm gonna just towel off. As soon as you feel that your brush is just getting a little bit too heavy or too overloaded, I guess you could say, you wanna take it off. Okay, we're coming up to these little spots here. All right, do that same thing here. Just scrub it down here. And see, we're getting a nice little ombre effect. Now, I do feel that maybe this outer ring might be too thick and too wide, and I want more of the copper to show. All I have to do is take a fresh paper towel, or you can use that one too if it's not loaded up so much. Get a little bit of water. Let's go ahead and just mist it with a little water. Wrap it around our finger, and we're just gonna come in and we're gonna just remove and make this line just a little bit thinner so that we can just blend that right out. And that'll also give you a nice little ombre effect, but more of a stripey as opposed to a blown look. So I'm just going to bring this back some. You don't want that line to be so thick. I want more copper to show. See, Dawn wanted the cabinets to be more brown. I wanted the cabinets to be more blue. And so I made the island this real dark color in order to give us both what we wanted. But the cabinets being blue was absolutely mandatory. Sorry, Dawn. We're gonna get a little bit more of this off. And I think that this up here might be a little bit much too. I'm gonna take this down. As you can see, a little bit of unicorn spit goes a really long way. You don't need hardly any at all to do anything. Always use less than you think that you're gonna need. I still used less than I thought I was going to need and ended up still overdoing it. All right, especially Midnight Blackness. It is some strong stuff. I'm gonna come around, I'm gonna remove this. It's a little bit strong for me. And if you hear my dog in the background, I parked her outside on the back deck because She is just on fire today. Every dog that goes by, she's just barking and carrying on, and I'm just like, oh girl, I'm over it. Oh, Stella. Honey, don't let Stella in. She's been driving me nuts all morning. Thank you. Yeah, I think my lines around this are a little bit too thick. I'm gonna bring it back just a little bit. So that's another thing. There's no mistakes. You can always wipe off and start again and again and again. Just like me. All right. All right, now, open my cloth up. I'm gonna get this large amount here where I put it on a little bit too thick. And just dab that off. See how thick it is? I don't want the brush to get saturated by that and jack me up again. All right. Now I can come along and do this, and it's gonna be super easy to blend. Here we go. And that gives you a nice ability to control that. And watch your fingerprints too. You will leave fingerprints if your fingers are wet, like I just did right there. Come over to this little edge here.
This is too loud.
Oh, nobody can hear it, honey. I don't think any. Can you guys hear the microwave going or the air fryer? John's making his daily lunch of chicken and rice. Here we go. Got that blackness on there. Just gonna make sure that this little round area looks good. And that's why I like to use the stencil brush, because then you can tap it and really push it where you want it to go. If it gets a little dry on you, remember how you wiped off? Squeeze your brush again on that and it'll rehydrate it. Come around this edge here. My brush is really, really dry. All right, give it a little mist of water. And I'm just gonna dab it off on this cloth. A little bit too wet, so I'm gonna squeeze some off. Still a little too wet. There we go. See where it was dry there? I'm just going to take my brush, rehydrate where it was dry so I can continue my blending process. And then right here it's very dry, so I'm just gonna kind of walk my brush in a little bit to soften some of that up. I know I'm gonna have to blend that spot all over again. Just keep going over those spots until you get the blending like you really want. Think about it as kind of blending like blush in or something like that. It's real tarnishy looking. And this should be getting dry enough that I can manipulate this back a little bit. Yeah, there we go. It's okay if one area has more tarnish than the other. Like I'm gonna give it a little heavier because this is the bottom. Pick up some of the wet spit that was down here. And come in and just give it a little extra tarnishing. All right. work up here just a little bit more too. It's a little bit damp. And I also accidentally sprayed my water here, so I'm gonna just reblend that. All right. This all looks pretty good. I might go over these spots here just one more time. Scrubbing that darkness in, literally. It's Midnight's blackness that I'm using here. Giving it a nice, dirty, worn, oxidized look over that dark copper finish. There we go. Now here's where we're gonna create some happy mistakes. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but there's some white here, some white here, 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 here. There's a bunch of little white specks here. Those little white specks are because we cleaned the dickens out of that sprayer because we sprayed some white paint for a couple of things. We washed it out really well. We did the best we could. Unfortunately, when we put that lacquer in, it took some of the white out of the hose and splattered it here and there. And I think this is where we started, and we were like, we need to rinse it out some more. But that's locked under the surface. But I'm not gonna sit here and strip the whole thing down. I'm gonna just use it as my guide to give me some random oxidation. So I'm gonna come into these corners here where I've got a lot of spit that's kind of thick. And I'm just going to put a daub right on all those spots that are white that we know we want to conceal. We want to camouflage them. And of course, you could always get some fresh if you don't have a lot built up anywhere. Here we go. But we're gonna use it to hide and conceal that accident. So what I like the most about these is that they fit right in the cap like this. It's kind of cool, right? In case you need a little extra more. I'm just gonna put these on there nice and thick so that no one will ever see those little white blemishes. And then I'm just gonna kind of make up some so that I can get a little bit of a design going here, because we don't want it to look like a Dalmatian or a Palomino horse, although that would be kind of neat. We just want it to kind of blend in from here, but we want to leave it real thick on those spots that had white. So it's on there. I'm gonna let that dry for just a second there. Take my brush and take off any excess, because now it's gonna be down to the blending. Just like we did before. Oop. I'm gonna get my a dry one, kind of wet. Okay, squeeze out. Here we go. All right, I'm gonna just kind of blend this out, get some natural oxidization lines going. Just coming around to the edges of those little fixer dots that we had to do. I'm just gonna blend those edges out and just make sure that they don't have any like brush mark looking kind of strokes to them. And see if we can't create a neat little pattern. There we go. Not really pattern, but a design. Keep pattern out of your mind. We don't want nothing with a pattern. I want this to look really organic. Plants and such have patterns, such as their leaves and their growth. I think oxidization kind of grows almost like a, I'm sure it has a cell structure, kind of like patina is living on copper. I don't know if you knew that or not. There we go. And come around all these little edges here and just fade them out. Now these are the extras that I made just to bring it all together. And I'm gonna go over all of it one time, just to make sure I don't have a solid look going. Okay. And then I'm just gonna have some fun right here so that it all kind of looks like it ombres out to this, and just use whatever's left over on my brush to fill in this small space. Then I'm just going to blend right over the dry. That'll give me some interesting looks by picking up some of the wet on there. And then with whatever's left over on my edge, I noticed over here, it didn't really pounce very well. Take a little bit more off here. I love that you can just keep going until it feels right to you. You know what you like. You know how you want it to be. You can envision it in your eyes, in your mind, in your mind's eye, and just go for it. And if you see anywhere where you have some strong brush strokes like I have here, just take your brush and just rub it right over them. It will conceal any of your brush strokes. It just powders it over as you would imagine like an eyeshadow or something like that. Let me go ahead and pop you off here real quick. I'm gonna give you some close up. Are you ready? All right, so you can see we have, so you can see how that's working, hopefully pretty well. So you got this nice oxidized metallic look going by using Midnight Blackness over some sealed copper. And if you see, where's that spot I was just gonna show you? So, all right, so see how there's like these little brush strokes here? I'm not crazy about that. That's from scrubbing when I had too much on there, but watch this. It's dry. My brush is pretty darn dry. You just use your brush and it just kind of erases them. It softens it like you would a makeup or something like that. So I'm just gonna walk around. I'm gonna hunt those down. See, right here's another little pass of that. Let's go ahead and just use my dried brush to just blend them in to obscurity like they never even happened. Just go all the way around. Just catching any of them by just giving it a little forward scrub. It's almost like the softest of sandpaper is your little brush tips here. And scrub them in. There's some right here. There we go. Not crazy about that, but let's see what I can do if I give it a real good stern scrub. Just gonna take it down just a little bit from where it was. It's just not gonna be as aggressive. Just a little scrub. Scrubby scrub. Oh, there's some there. We better blend those out too. And then this one here, see how it's wet right there in the edges? I'd give it a shot here. I just don't want to get into that wetness. So I'm just gonna give it a little scrub and a push, ever so gingerly there around these edges. And there's some scrubbers there that you can see my scrub marks. Re-scrub them with a dry brush, and they kind of just blend in. Now this is on a sealed surface. It doesn't work this way on porous wood, okay? I just want you to know that porous wood's gonna be a lot less forgiving when correcting mistakes than on a sealed surface. Now you can obviously do this antiquing style to any current finish in your home. So say you have like bar stools that are plain brown or something like that, and you wanna give them more of a rustic-y look, you can do it by just doing it just like this, and then sealing them with your favorite oil-based top coat. There we go. Then these I'm gonna brush real hard and get really hard splotchies. I want some really hard splotchies in there. That one's a little goofy looking. I'm gonna fix that one. Just give it a little burst. See? I like that splotchy. This is a nice big splotch. But that covered up all those little white marks that I had. And it just looks like it's part of the main idea here. There we go. All right, we'll let that seal or dry up, and we're gonna hit that with the sealer, and that's gonna give us a look that's like this. So you just go around, and this one we did black, and then I used the copper and just kind of sprayed in a circle so that it kind of powder glazed it and left the dark here. Then I came back with some black and added some more stern looking areas around that. And that was very cool. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed how to do this. You can see it's pretty easy. It might be a little bit time consuming, but I can tell you it is relaxing to do. Do it right in your kitchen. It's non-toxic, no VOC. Smells like jasmine, so I think maybe that makes me feel like really calm when I'm doing my art. I don't know, but the island's going to look amazing. So I'm gonna try to give you one more view of the island. It's so hard to capture in here, but good Lord willing, eventually we'll have good lighting and you guys will be able to see it really well. It's also a gloomy day, so but you can see how I just kind of let it be spontaneous on how it grew in those edges. Not all the panels look the same, just real natural. And that's how I think that you should do it too. Just be natural. Don't give yourself any type of like expectations, and just, you know, use your third eye, open it up, imagine what it's going to look like in your mind, and then just let it pour out of your body, and it'll work. It works every time. I swear. And if it doesn't look right with your two eyes, you can always wipe it down with a little, just a cloth that's damp with just water, and start all over again. All right, guys, until I see you again, be good, be blessed, and always let your creative juices flow, even when you're remodeling your home. Goodbye.